Hey guys, nah, for real, on some real shit, man. The world is, it's falling apart, and occupying something is not going to change anything. It's just not going to happen. And the reason why it's not going to happen is because you're dealing with people who have a mentality where you can only speak to them in a certain way. And you're just not going to be able to speak to them with signs or asking them nicely, you know, to change. You're going to have to go in there with guns, and you don't necessarily have to kill anybody, but you're going to have to physically force them to stop. But the problem is that the problem is bigger than Wall Street. It's so stupid to think that going there with a bunch of signs is going to change something. There's so many levels of this problem that is so irrational. I can only begin to really it's really hard to take it all in, man. It's fucking stupid. First off, if people wanted to make a change, they would have never, ever on any level started with Wall Street if they really wanted to change shit. I have faith that a majority of people are intelligent. And any intelligent person would know that you don't start there, man. There's been so many other problems that could have had violent protests that could have changed something, and they don't happen. And I think the reason why the violent protests don't happen is people have this big thing on peace. But sometimes you gotta blow some shit up to get peace. You can't just fucking, expect to show someone a sign who's been fucking you over for the past couple of decades, and your mom and dad and their mom and dad, and expect them to actually change from that. It's not going to happen. You have people who are set in their ways, man. You have shadow governments that use our money for all kinds of horrendous things on people, man. Occupying Wall Street is fucking dumb. And it's kids who want to be cool, or they want to be hipsters, or people who want to see change, but they don't want to be a part of change. They just want to, be on TV. Think about it. Think about the people who occupy Portland. Think about just the way people are in Portland. Just Portland, not even New York. People in Portland cannot even follow through with going into work for 40 hours a week. People in Portland can barely follow through with meeting up with their friends or following through with a project. People in Portland alienate themselves from each other. They're fake. It's fake. And shit is not going to change, man. And let's think about it even more. Let's say that a band of people, like 1 million people with guns, let's say they got smart enough to realize, hey, the only way we're going to change shit is if we take a lot of guns and we fucking go to Wall Street and we say, hey, if you don't fix this problem and start changing shit around, we're going to fucking blow your heads off. What's going to happen is, there's going to be a lot of problems left even if we fix that. You have to understand, man, there are countries that want to dismantle and destroy America and have their own agenda with America. So let's say we took America back. These are people taking America back who have no military knowledge or strategy to defend their country. We would be butt raped and invaded by countries who've been wanting to dismantle us for years. Regardless of all the countries who love the people but hate the leaders, we would still be fair game. We would be fucked, man. We would be completely fucked. We'd be taken over, and then we'd be under a regime worse than what America's already fucking doing to us. Another thing, too, that you have to realize, too, if you occupied Wall Street with guns, or even if you changed in a peaceful manner, you still have people with their own personal agenda, man. Think about it. The people who would be in power if this shit happened would be the guy who sits next to you, drinks Mountain Dew with an anarchist tattoo on the side of his arm, or the chick who's talking about being vegan and like being peaceful, and she's teaching kids at a Montessori school, but then she does blow all night long, but feels that she has the ability to teach a child something. That's fucking ridiculous, man. Shit is not going to change that way. And choosing Wall Street as a place to start a change is fucking retarded. If you want to start a change for one thing, you have to start the change with yourself. That's the first thing. And you have to realize that you can't control anymore. That's the whole reason why we're in this problem. Think about it. Think about if we remove the powers that be. The way we are, man, we are conditioned to want a leader. And a leader is a form of power. And power is used for control. And control is part of the old way that has us in this situation that we're already in now trying to get out of. So you couldn't just do that, man. There's so many factors. And let's say we don't get attacked by countries. Let's say we dismantle America and we take it back. We'd have to deal with our own military and the National Guard wanting to kill us. There's so many ways to look at it. Not to mention there'd be so many crises left over, that would still be a burden in America. Like the fact that a lot of people here don't know shit, man. And a lot of people here are so materialistic. They are so materialistic that if we changed, in order to have a true change, man, you have to sacrifice things. And there is no way that they're going to want to sacrifice their iPhone, their iPad, their iBook, their iLife, their iCar, their iCoffee, their iHouse, their iEverything. They don't want to sacrifice that shit. Fuck, I don't want to sacrifice anything. So you have to think about more creative ways than occupying Wall Street, man. The only way we're going to change anything that I can think of that's going to be non-violent is to take change in ourselves and hope that the person next to us is doing it. And then when they say something, it sets an example and other people follow suit. Not because they want to follow this person, but what they hear and what they're saying is enlightening and empowering enough to cause them to be like, oh shit, like it's time to really fucking change things around, But you have to understand, man, like a lot of those people, I don't know them personally, but I can guarantee you a lot of those people wouldn't give 10 cents to a bum if he asked for some change, A lot of those people aren't spiritual and don't have fucking enough morale to really maintain the change, And what's even funnier is America, my generation, and as an American I can say this, man, we would claim an easy not an easy victory, an early victory, let's think about this shit. Like, let's say once again we did take over and we got them to stop. We would claim an early victory. We'd be so happy that we actually did something that we would stop, man. These are fucking hipsters, man, that can't follow through with meeting up or texting someone back or replying to a job interview or trying to put together something productive. You think these fucking same people are going to be able to maintain a change? It's going to fucking fall apart, man. It's a fucking image. It's to look cool. It's not a real change. A real change, if they really wanted to do a real change, they would have never started with Wall Street. They would have started with themselves, or they would have started with a problem bigger, you know? They would have started with I don't know, like it could have been anything fucking besides Wall Street. It could have started with the environment, but actually like taking initiative to stop. Like I'm not gonna drive my car today until I figure out a way to get to where I need to go without hurting the earth while I do it. You know, or I need to stop putting harmful things into my body because I need to start with myself in order to start with change, man. And I think some of these people do have um, a very good heart and very good intentions, but they're going about it in a poor way, man. And the only way that you can solve it non-violently is you have to be innovative, you have to be creative, and you do have to be intelligent. And coming together as a group with signs to a country that's only understood violence ever since it was created, they're not going to change unless there's violence, man. You're not going to change shit unless you force your way in and take it. And the only reason why I haven't been a part of this shit is because that's the only way I feel I can change something. You have to understand, man, a non-violent change of a system like America is so advanced that it's over our heads. What it would actually take to change something non-violently is shit that we don't even understand. We'd have to be 1,000 years more advanced than we are now in order to do that, man. In order to create a holographic society, because that's what that is. And when you have, oh my God, like when you go about it this way in this age with this mentality, it's because you really don't want to change. You just want to look cool, and then later you can say, hey, I was in this time. I was in this time to be this, or I was in this time to do that. And then your kids will be like, oh, that's cool, and it'll be like how your parents thought of the 70s and shit. And that movement was actually better because so many people were doing it, and they weren't doing it as much for an image. Nowadays, it's a fucking image, man. And people don't understand the concept of things. People take things for granted, you know? And that's why shit's not gonna change, man. You know? You in America, you're not gonna change shit unless you do it by force. And you have to realize that Americans have too many personal agendas. Let's say you got 1 million people out there with guns. Or let's say all the people in that crowd were able to change things, but then they all had to agree on something. It's not going to happen, man. Everyone has their own agenda. We as Americans don't stick together enough to pull shit together. We have so many problems, man. It's not going to work. You know? It's fucking stupid. So, that's why I think Occupy Wall Street is fucking dumb. And it's never gonna work. Unless we go in there with a bunch of guns. And if we want to do something like that with a bunch of guns, you then have to realize you'd have to deal with the military, the National Guard. Not at first, because 1 million people with guns could easily take over an army base. But then you'd have to deal with people invading and having to defend that. And the militias in the Midwest and in the South, man. America's a fucking big place. It's a huge problem. And some a smart person will be like, well, that's why we're doing it non-violently, because if we ask them, but then another smart person would say, well, you're talking to people who only understand things by violence, man. So the best way to change this is to change yourself on an individual level and just hope people follow suit, you know? I mean, that's the only solution, the real solution I can think of so far. That's it.